The life and sad ending of Janie Fricke. Janie Fricke was born Jane Marie Fricke on December 19th, 1947, in South Whitley, Indiana, to parents Waldemar and Phyllis Fricke. She learned piano and guitar as a child. Her first vocal influences were folk artists such as Joan Baez and Judy Collins. Despite growing up in a musical family and spending much of her childhood singing at home, school, and church, her parents encouraged her to continue her formal education for a respectable career. While studying for her bachelor's degree in elementary education at Indiana University, she was a member of the Singing Hoosiers, responding to an audition call posted on the bulletin board at practice. She was thrilled to get the job singing commercial jingles and station breaks. Her parents insisted she return to school to finish her degree, which she did, and then headed to California to pursue a career. Returning to Nashville, she signed with the Lee Jane Singers, which marked the beginning of her commercial success. Janie Fricke was one of the most popular female country singers of the 80s, racking up an inevitable string of hits and proving herself a versatile vocalist with a particularly flair for ballads. In 1975, Fricke moved to Nashville, Tennessee, where she became an in-demand background vocalist. She sang background for numerous other artists at that time, including Dolly Parton, Barbara Mandrell, Crystal Gayle, Ronnie Milsap, Lynn Anderson, Tanya Tucker, Conway Twitty, and Edie Rabbit. However, Fricke's work as a background vocalist on several recordings by Johnny Dugan first brought her to national attention. After supplying uncredited background vocals for such Duncan hits as Joe and the Cowboy, Thinkin' of a Rendezvous, It Couldn't Have Been Any Better, and Stranger, Fricke was finally rewarded when she was given equal billing with Duncan on his cover of Jay and the Americans, Come a Little Bit Closer, in which she sang the song's chorus. However, Fricke's contribution to Duncan's number one hit Stranger in 1977 likely generated the most interest. In that song's chorus, Fricke sang the line, "Shut out the light and lead me." Listeners wondered who the mysterious lady was singing those words in Duncan's song. Because of this, Fricke was able to gain a recording contract of her own from Columbia Records, where she remained for over 10 years, beginning in 1977. Fricke teamed up with the Heart City Band, and her 1977 debut single, What Are You Doing Tonight, just missed the top 20. Collaborations with Charlie Rich and Duncan kept Fricke going strong through 1978, but her solo singles over the next few years had minimal success. However, Fricke did have 2 top 20 hits between 1978 and 1979. Her cover of Hank Laughlin's Please Help Me, I'm Falling, which reached number 12, and I'll Love You Away Your Troubles for a While, which peaked at number 14. However, country music radio still failed to regularly air Fricke's recordings, so most of her other singles did not chart very high between 1978 and 1981. During this time, Fricke had already released 3 studio albums, beginning in 1977 with her debut album, Singer of Songs. The album produced her first 3 singles, What Are You Doing Tonight, Please Help Me, I'm Falling, and Baby, It's You. In 1979, Fricke released her second and third studio albums, Love Notes and From the Heart. Only Love Notes produced one top 20 hit, None of Fricke's albums at this time had yet charted the Billboard's Top Country Albums chart. In late 1980, Fricke's producer, Billy Shrill, noticed her limited success and realized the issue could be changed. Shrill advised Fricke to establish an identity by focusing on one style, and she then began to record ballads. As a result, Fricke had a breakthrough year in 1981, when she landed 2 top 5 hits with Down to My Last Broken Heart and I'll Need Someone to Hold Me. Fricke continued to have her breakthrough success from 1982 through 1984, when she scored 6 number 1 hits: Don't Worry About Me Baby, It Ain't Easy Being Easy, Tell Me a Lie, He's a Heartache, Let's Stop Talkin' About It, and Your Heart's Not in It. 3 of Fricke's number 1s were spawned from her 1982 album It Ain't Easy, which became a successful selling album. In 1983, Fricke toured with the Heart City Band in Alabama. By this time, Fricke had broadened her style to include more up-tempo tracks as well. She was rewarded in 1982 and again in 1983 with Female Vocalist of the Year from the Country Music Association. In 1983, Fricke released her next studio album, Love Lies, which peaked at number 10 on the Top Country Albums chart. The album spawned a number 1 single, Let's Stop Talkin' About It, and a top 10, If the Fall Don't Get You. In 1984, Fricke released her next album, First Word in Memory. The lead single, Your Heart's Not in It, was a number 1 hit in 1984, followed by the title track, which became a top 10 hit the same year. During this time, Fricke also tried her hand at acting when she had a guest starring role on The Dukes of Hazzard, playing the part of Ginny, a jeweled thief who hid money in the dashboard of a getaway car that was later to become General Lee in the episode Happy Birthday, General Lee. She also was part of the Louis Mandel special, Louis Mandrell, Diamonds, Gold, and Platinum, among other TV specials. Fricke's 1985 album, Somebody Else's Fire, peaked at number 21 on the Top Country Albums chart and yielded 3 top 10 hits. Also during this time, Fricke reprised her role of background vocalist on 2 of Merle Haggard's 1985 singles, Natural High and A Place to Fall Apart, the latter of which became a number 1 hit. In 1986, Fricke released her next album, Black and White, which included her last number 1 hit, Always Have, Always Will, as well as her last top 20 hit, When a Woman Cries, which peaked at number 20 in 1986. Annoyed by mispronunciations of her surname, Fricke changed the spelling of her name to FRICKIE in 1986, but a few years later she reverted to the original spelling. A neo-traditional country music artists, including Patty Loveless and Randy Travis, gained popularity in 1987. The style of country music Fricke had been recording since 1982 was no longer in style on country radio, and as a result, Fricke's success began to decline. Fricke recorded a top 25 hit with Larry Gatlin called From Time to Time, released on Gatlin's 1986 Partners album. Fricke's 1987 album, After Midnight, released 1 top 40 country hit, Are You Satisfied?, which peaked at number 32. Other singles from the album did not break the top 40. In 1988, Fricke's Saddle the Wind album peaked at number 64 on the Top Country Albums chart. Fricke's last charted single, 1989's Give 'Em My Number, peaked at number 43 on the Billboard Country chart. And after 1989's Labor of Love album, Fricke and Columbia Records parted ways. In the early 1990s, Fricke became a regular on the TNN variety series, The Statler Brothers Show, alongside Rex Allen Jr. She, along with Allen, also hosted the show's spin-off, Yesteryear. Fricke recorded 2 albums for the small Branson label in 1992 and 1993, and issued the gospel record Hymns of Faith on Intersound in 1996. Fricke's album Bouncin' Back was released in 2000 under her own label, JMF Records. She decided to sell her album on the internet exclusively. Fricke continues to tour extensively, but she sets aside time to spend with her family on her Texas ranch near Lancaster. In 2004, Fricke released a bluegrass album under DM Records, The Bluegrass Sessions. The tracks from the album were Fricke's country hits from the 1980s recorded in bluegrass style for the album. Fricke continues to be actively involved in the music industry today. In 2005 and 2016, she attended the Country Music Association Awards. Fricke was the Firefighters Marshal for Winchester, Virginia's 80th annual Shenandoah Apple Blossom Festival in May 2007. Fricke performed for 5 hours at the Independence Day Festival in Slidell, Louisiana on July 4, 2013, for a crowd of over 8,000. Loneliness happens to this girl in her old age. She said she tried to struggle with her own thoughts. She tried to create positive habits for herself, to forget the loneliness simply because of the lack of emotional attention from loved ones for me.